Welcome back to Mobility Insider. I'm Morten Hannesbo. Our channel remains unsponsored. All of the views and conclusions are based on me having had a 35-year career in automotive. Back in 2020, Volkswagen launched their MEB platform and their new ID product strategy. Volkswagen had great hopes for this strategy, and the plan was to challenge Tesla for the leadership in the electric vehicle category. But it did not quite go to plan for Volkswagen, partly because there were management changes and therefore also changes to the strategy, but also because the product was haunted by a number of software issues, and also the product quality was not quite up to what the Volkswagen customers and the dealers were expecting. However, Volkswagen did take notice. They have expanded the lineup, and most importantly, the product quality has been dramatically improved. The result is that today the Volkswagen Group, as a group including Audi, Seat, Volkswagen, Skoda and Porsche, is the manufacturer that sells the most battery electric vehicles in Europe. Today we're going to talk about this car, the latest addition to the ID lineup, the Volkswagen ID.7 GTX United. This is a fairly large car. It's 496 centimeters in the length, which is about the same length as a Range Rover Sport. It's 214 centimeters in the width, and it weighs 2,421 kilos, so it's a big and heavy car. The base price is 80,100 Swiss francs for the GTX Tourer. Add to that the towing hitch, the heat pump and the Plus packet exterior finish, another 3,200 Swiss francs, and you get to 83,300 Swiss francs. The GTX is the high-performance electric estate from Volkswagen in the ID lineup. It brings practicality and sportiness. It has a 86 kilowatt-hour net battery, and that gives you a range of approximately 450 kilometers. Visually, the Tourer GTX carries sporty cues that set it apart from the standard ID.7 models. It normally rides on 21-inch alloys, but here we have 19-inch alloys with winter tires. The roof rails, the side skirts and the lower cladding also gets darker, sporty finishes which sharpen the look a bit. As an estate version, it offers 605 liters of boot space with the seats upright, a bit more than its fastback counterpart. Fold the rear seats and you open up a huge cargo area up to 1,714 liters, making this car generally useful for families' everyday usage and holidays. The special cargo hinge for the rear seat is a practical solution for when you need that extra trunk space, say if you have a dog in the back of the vehicle. The top speed is limited to 180 kilometers per hour, which is okay, I think, except if you live in Germany. Fully electric estates are still quite rare, and there are only few competitors. These include the premium offerings like the BMW i5 Tourer or the Audi A6 e-tron Avant, which are both more expensive. Other spacious competitors in the same price range as the ID.7 are the Cadillac Lyriq, the Kia EV9 or the Hyundai Ioniq 9. Of course, an alternative could also be a Volkswagen Passat or a Skoda Superb plug-in hybrid. The GTX label indicates that this is the flagship of the ID range. What you get is a two-motor setup and all-wheel drive. At the back you have the excellent APP 550 motor, and in total you get 340 horsepower. In terms of how the car drives, the setup, the rigidity and the suspension of the ID.7 gives the car a really sure-footed impression when you drive it. It drives really well, one of the big strengths of the vehicle. I also wanted to test the acceleration from 0 to 100. For some reason I couldn't do that because the glass roof or the front screen did not allow the GPS signal to go to the measuring device, but it's about 5.5 seconds according to Volkswagen, and I have no reason to doubt that. The ID.7 GTX gets the largest Volkswagen battery. It's 91 kilowatt-hour gross, 86 kilowatt-hour net capacity. The charging speed is 200 kilowatts, and that gives you a charging time from 10 to 80% in about 26 minutes, which we tested and verified. Volkswagen states the WLTP range to be 584 kilometers. We tested the car, albeit under colder November conditions, and we had an average consumption of 20.0 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, and that gives you a real life range of about 430 kilometers. Now let's step into the car and I'll tell you about how it drives. This is a very competent car. You feel the Volkswagen quality, the engineering quality of the car, the build quality is very high. This is what you come to expect from a large and also fairly expensive Volkswagen. Steering is extremely precise and not too sporty, but certainly not sloppy. Suspension is soft when you need it, and it's hard when you need it. It's a very good compromise. This is a car that is built for long drives, 2-3 hours on the motorway at a constant high speed. That is what this car does exceptionally well. But despite all of the good qualities of the car, there are a couple of things that I don't quite understand why Volkswagen has chosen to do that. For instance, the cruise control function here on the steering wheel. You have to use the capacitive buttons, which is just not a good solution. And for a cruiser that goes on the motorway and you drive for hours, what I would much prefer is a stalk to the left of the steering wheel where I can select the speed when I cruise and turn it on and off. This is not the best solution, and that is unfortunate, I think, in a car like the ID.7. Second thing is the window opening buttons you have here on the left side to the driver. You have just two buttons, one for left and one for right. So if I want to open the rear windows, I first have to press the rear button, and then I can open the window. And then I have to push it back to the front if I want to do that, and then I can open the front window. This is a very strange solution. I just don't understand why Volkswagen does that in a car that should not be a budget car. One of the reasons why the ID.7 is so heavy, 2.4 tons, is that it has a large battery, actually the largest Volkswagen traction battery that you can get. 91 kilowatt hour gross capacity, 86 kilowatt hours capacity net usable. That gives you a range of approximately 450 to 500 kilometers. Of course, if you go fast on the highway, this may be less, but the car gives you a very good range and peace of mind on long trips. One thing that is maybe less positive is the charging speed. You can only charge at a maximum of 200 kilowatt in the ID.7, and in today's competitive field, that is on the low end. Cars in this price range you would expect to be able to charge at least 250 or 300 kilowatt. The Volkswagen Group has developed a very good driver assist software solution, and that is standard in all of the Volkswagen cars, of course, and that also is something that is benefiting the ID.7. Everything works well, it doesn't intrude in your driving. There's some times where the lane control doesn't actually work that well, because like here we're in an area where they have roadworks, and the lane change assist, actually I don't find that works really well. But overall, this is a system that gives you comfort while using it. It's much better than some of the Chinese competitors I've tested recently. So it's a good system. Most people would be happy with it. I guess it's fair to say that the voice control works and can do basic functions like changing the temperature, etc. But it's not as advanced as you would expect it at this point in time. And certainly using it very often may help for you to figure out what to say to make it do what you want. But normally it's easier just to use the screen and your fingers to change the setting. One thing that Volkswagen has changed for the ID.7, and I like that, is that you can select the battery heating function. You can say stop it and activate it, of course, so that the car will be ready to charge when you get to your charging station. For the moment, we're now heating the battery just for a couple of minutes, and the current rapid charging capability is indicated to be 76 kilowatt. Now let's stop the battery heating. We don't need to use the energy for that. But also when you charge a car like the 400 volt architecture that we have in the ID.7, you have to be aware that it will charge much faster during the first 0 to 50%, and thereafter the speed will dramatically reduced down to maybe 60 or 70 kilowatt when you get to 80 or 85%. So it's always advisable that you charge, say, from 10 to 60%, and then you move on your journey and you make another stop on the way. That would be the fastest way of traveling. So now the ID.7 is a fairly large car. It's almost 5 meters in the length, and that gives you a lot of space in the car, which is one of the strong points of the vehicle. In terms of pricing, it starts at 80,000 Swiss francs. With a little bit of options, you get to about 84,000 Swiss francs. That is quite a lot of money for a Volkswagen, let me put it that way. If I compare it to some of the other offerings, you can have a Cadillac Lyriq, about the same price. You can choose a Kia EV9, which is a big SUV, also 4x4 and lots of space. Or of course, you can have a Hyundai Ioniq 9 as well at the same price. So what is the problem then? Is that the ID.7 gets a little bit lost between the two segments, the non-premium and the premium segments. So the BMW i5 is only about 10 to 15% more expensive. Same goes for the Audi Q6 e-tron. So if you compare these cars, how does the ID.7 stack up? Well, you get a lot of space in the car, a lot of shoulder space, a lot of storage space. You get good visibility and of course a big cargo space as well. So that is all fine. The seats are very good, almost at a premium level. You get design features that are fitting to the Volkswagen brand. You get a red stitching or line that is a characteristic of the Volkswagen GTX line. Overall, what you get is a car that drives well, delivers on space, delivers on technology, but it doesn't give you a premium feeling. It is not a wow effect when you drive it, but it's a car that's likely to be a good companion in everyday life when you do a lot of mileage. Today we'll be doing the standard test route, which is 57 kilometers. It's consisting of 40% highway driving, 40% country roads, and about 20% of city driving. I set the car to 23 degrees temperature in the cabin. We're driving in eco mode, and I expect the ID.7 to do pretty well in this exercise, although today is a cold day, about 5 degrees Celsius, but this is where the ID.7 should actually do really well. So I would be expecting a consumption of, say, 17.5 to 18 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. So that's the final result of the standard route test, 17.6 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. We did 57 kilometers in 1 hour and 2 minutes. We had the setting in eco. I had the temperature setting in the cabin at 23 degrees. So that's a decent result. I think that is okay considering the temperature is 5 degrees outside. We're driving on winter tires. So overall, that is a good result. Of course, not as good as the Tesla, which is our benchmark in this exercise. If we compare that to the 200, approximately, let's say 235 kilometers I've done so far, on average we had a consumption of 19.0 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, because that included a little bit more highway driving. That brings me to the conclusion on the ID.7 GTX Tourer. Now, this is the car that cost more than 80,000 Swiss francs. What exactly do you get for your money? And you can buy a BMW i5 Tourer or a Audi A6 e-tron Avant for about the same money. Well, first of all, you get a car that doesn't look like something else, doesn't have a digital tiger face, it doesn't look like a bar of soap, and that is something that many people probably will appreciate. Second thing is the car drives really exceptionally well. It is well built and it gives you a feeling of confidence and safety when you drive with your family. Some of the negative points about the car is that the technology is okay, it's up to date, but it is not leading. The charging speed is 200 kilowatt. Other products today will do much faster than that. The efficiency is okay. You get an average consumption of about 20 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. And that is also fine, but it is not leading. I generally like the driver assist systems that is offered by the Volkswagen Group in their cars, like the Skodas and the Audis and the Volkswagen. But the ID.7 didn't give me that feeling of superior technology. The driver assist is a little bit nervous. The lane control is all the time changing the steering wheel position, which is quite annoying. And the parking system, the automatic parking, I never really got that to work as it should. So here, Volkswagen can do considerably better. I've decided to give the GTX 3.5 out of a possible 4 stars. Now, don't get me wrong, this car drives like a 4-star vehicle. However, at the price tag of about 80,000 Swiss francs as a base price, you also expect to get the latest technology, the fast charging and the excellent efficiency, and the car doesn't quite deliver on that. But this is an excellent car, and I think most people will really like driving this car every day. Thank you for watching Mobility Insider. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, and give us a like. And if you know someone who would like to learn more about the ID.7 GTX, please share the video with that person. Thank you and see you in the next video.